Who is Chip Thunder, and how can a dinosaur-riding racing legend who travels through time help sell broadband? That's what we'll be talking about on this episode of the Story Connect podcast. My name is Andy Johns, your host with Pioneer, and I'm joined on this episode, a highly anticipated episode, I will say,
All right.
by Gene McCoy, who is the manager of marketing at Como Connect, and Patrick Wood, who is the manager of communications at Como. Thank you all so much for joining me.
Pleasure to be here. Yeah, thanks for having us.
We are recording live at the epicenter of rural broadband this week at the Calix Connections 2024 conference here at the Wynn in Las Vegas. Had some great guests on here, but this one's going to be a little different, I'm betting.
It might be a little different.
Why? Nobody else was talking about a time-traveling race car driver with a dinosaur alien friend?
You know, it hasn't come up.
That's weird. I thought it was fairly common.
I mean, anywhere you're going to have that conversation, Las Vegas would be the one to do it, I guess. But go ahead and introduce us to anybody who hasn't seen. And Gene, we can start with you. But go ahead and introduce us to anybody who hasn't seen Chip Thunder, and we'll go ahead and put links to some of the videos in the show notes. But tell us who Chip is.
Chip Thunder is a time-traveling racing legend. He travels through time, meeting various, time-traveling figures. He's kind of a everyman.
Okay.
He's a plug-and-play. I mean, we've had him as a television court judge. We've had him as an Olympic sprinter.
Right.
We've had him as a professional wrester. So, I mean, he kind of is jack of all trades, master of all trades type of guy.
Master of all trades, right?
Fits whatever whimsical idea we just came up with.
There you go.
There's really no out of place for Chip Thunder.
Right. But that's one of the things that, we wanted flexibility and we wanted fun. And this guy, he kind of fits all of those boxes. He checks all of those boxes.
And so you guys are deploying Chip. Everything is done in promotion of promoting Como Connect, right?
That's correct. Our broadband product. That's what we're promoting with Chip Thunder. It kind of started back. Well, it did start back in 2021. We were looking for a mascot to represent our upgrade deal. We were looking for a mascot to represent that upgrade deal. We started batting things back and forth. One day, there were some people in our office talking about race car drivers, stuntmen like Evel Knievel and things like that.
I definitely get an Evel Knievel vibe.
Yeah. If I always like to say, if you took Evel Knievel, Darrell Waltrip, Super Dave Osborne, and just put them in a blender and then shook them up, that's what would come out in your cup is Chip Thunder. Maybe a little Tom Selleck with a mustache and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's what we were shooting for. We were looking for something to promote that upgrade deal. We had a free month upgrade deal, and we were thinking to ourselves, what can we do? The first idea that came out that Patrick and I were batting back and forth was what if we put Como Connect speeds into a race car engine? And then the next thing you know, Patrick says, well, what if he time traveled?
Because it's the next logical step.
Right.
And so I'm like, oh, geez, this is a great idea. Let's keep running. And then the dinosaur came in. He meets the dinosaur when he time travels. And then, we wanted to continue the storyline because the first one took off. We had like 15,000 views on the first YouTube video, and that was without any ad backing really whatsoever.
Oh, wow.
And so we were like, oh heck, we have something here.
And we gotta up the ante on the weirdness scale on that next one. So I mean, clearly the dinosaur eats the car and then gets the power himself and rockets to Mars.
Right.
To be saved by Santa Claus. I mean,
The Saved by Santa Claus was actually a hilarious story. We went to a Lions Club meeting, and there was a group of about 20 50-plus-year-old men there, and wasn't exactly the demographic we thought Chip Thunder was going to gravitate towards, but Chip's really beloved by all ages in actuality. And we get there, and all of them start asking, how's Chip going to get off Mars? And we're like, well, we didn't think that we had to do that, but sure. So we sent Santa Claus to save him.
You do.
That's the logical option for sure.
And a really popular character is Meemaw Thunder.
Yep,
she made a brief appearance in the Santa Claus video, and we brought her back a few times since then, and it just took off. And we only thought that Chip Thunder was going to be around for that deal only. And we thought, okay, we're done with it. And then he took off, and here we are in late 2024, still doing Chip Thunder videos.
A couple of years. I mean, a couple of years worth of content.
Yeah, Gene and I started about 5 years ago now at Como. And ever since we got there, we've had a definitely more whimsical tone when it comes to our ads because, as Gene always says, you're in the entertainment business. You want to be memorable,
right?
Especially if you're just part of an ad set of 4 different ads. Even if they're not your competitors, they're your competitor for ad space.
Right.
So we had some very whimsical ads. We had stuff about pumpkin spice internet. We had some pretty cute Christmas stuff, some pretty hilarious Black Friday, Thanksgiving stuff. So this was more or less just another addition to that catalog of whimsical ads, but it kind of took on a life of its own, and we've continued to progress that. And it's been really amazing to see, one, the success rate of how that character can continue to cultivate business for us, but also just in the communities that we serve, the fandom that it is garnished has been really amazing.
It's always amazing to see how the people react to Chip Thunder in public. I mean, we make a few public appearances a year, and it's always a blast to interact with the people. And it's always a blessing to see, oh my gosh, something that we created took off in that manner.
Yeah.
You have to show results, or else, you're just playing around. And I always say, look, if you're in the marketing business, like Patrick just said, if you're in the marketing business, you're in the entertainment business. And two, you want to, in the marketplace, you have to stand out. You have to be I always say, pink mohawk in a sea of crew cuts, You have to stand out.
Okay.
And if you're just one of many, you're not going to get that sale. You're not going to be that memorable. They're not going to remember your brand. And that's the whole that's the whole point of all of these things that we're doing. Is it fun? Yes. Is it funny? Yes. But do they remember your brand, and do they associate your brand with that fun?
Right. And there's so much to unpack to get into there, but let's talk about the results a little bit first. And then
Sure.
I want to get into a little bit more about the execution, how it happened. When I'm just looking through YouTube, when I was prepping for this episode, if you can call watching a bunch of Chip Thunder videos prepping, but
that's doing your research.
I was
doing work.
It's a tough job, but the stats on these, there's 14,000, there's 17,000 views, there's 11,000. I mean, this is good. This is good traction. Compared to what most anybody else is doing for videos to sell broadband.
Absolutely.
To announce that y'all are at a county fair. What kind of results? You talked about the Lions Club, some of the other anecdotes, but in terms of the numbers, this has to be beyond anything that you guys were guessing.
He's beyond anything that we've created before or since. He's had a 72,000 view YouTube video.
Wow.
This last campaign, it was over 127,000 views across platforms.
Amazing.
And YouTube alone, we did about 80 grand just between 4 videos that we promoted. One in particular was 31,000.
Those numbers are obviously phenomenal, but one of my favorite things to hear, because Gene's always telling me the numbers, he reads them off, absolutely loves them, but one of my favorite to hear is that the rate of people skipping it is astronomically low. So when an ad pops up, they don't skip it. They watch it. They have the opportunity to continue on to watch what they wanted to watch, and they still just watch whatever Chip Thunder.
You can't look away.
Yeah.
They're glued to it.
I don't know if it's akin to a car crash or not, but it is.
It's a memorable, funny car crash.
It's memorable. I will tell you that our VCR, our video completion rates are 98%.
Wow.
That's it's ridiculous. I mean, I look at them, and you almost like, is there something wrong with the YouTube algorithm?
Right.
And you look at it and you do a double take. And when you make those ads skippable and they don't skip them, it can be a shock to a lifelong jaded marketer. Like I'm expecting to hit in the 40 to 50 percentile,
Sure.
and that's good. You're killing it at that point. And when you're hitting 98 on some of those videos, you're like, oh my goodness, this is really a thing, right?
Yeah. And just for perspective, I spent all of my time watching videos prepping for this, but what size membership or how many subscribers y'all have? Just kind of put those numbers in perspective.
Okay, we have 34,000 subscribers, and we have about 60,000 eligibles. So we've got a 64% take rate in our mature areas.
Okay.
But we are constantly building. I mean, we have averaged about 7,000 new passings every single year. So we're continuously adding folks.
Yeah.
And even when you add those folks in, we're sitting at a 61% take rate,
All
which
right.
is just
That's phenomenal.
insane for most cooperatives.
Yeah.
And when you're talking to them, 50 is good. And we're really blessed to have people gravitate toward our brand and remember our brand.
Most of the hits, most of the folks watching come from somewhere geographically close, or you pretty far flung in the data on who's watching the videos?
And we narrow the cone. We want to make sure that our message is reaching the people that can act on our
Sure.
brand. We
Yeah.
don't want, of course, we get spillover. I mean, we've had people from as far away as California, New York.
Well, you've got quite a few from Nevada here that'll be. I'll show up on those results. Yeah.
Right.
Perfect.
I mean, Oregon. I mean,
Right.
I mean, we have a lot of people that are researching our brand and saying, "Hey, what are they doing?"
Yeah.
And that's another blessing to us. I love marketers. I think they're gods among men, and I think that they deserve a lot of the credit for the success that their cooperatives are seeing in the marketing space. Some of them are fighting 7-horse races.
Yeah.
And,
Talked to somebody yesterday had 9 competitors.
that's
Like,
what I'm
wow.
telling you. Yeah. And you have to stand out in that marketplace. You have to entertain.
I feel like a lot of, especially co-ops with they're just getting into it, have a bit of a if you build it, they will come situation. And you'll get some, but you're not going to get nearly the take rate that you could.
You're not getting 62%.
If you were, yeah, exactly. If you were advertising to them in a very entertaining way. And I know that the entertaining way that we're doing, some people look at that and it's like, oh, my board will never go for that. But you don't know until you try. The worst you can be told is no, and I'd rather hear the no than assume a no. So Gene and I have definitely developed some whimsical stuff that have not necessarily challenged our board, but kind of brought them along to a different understanding of what marketing can be.
Yeah.
And it's definitely helped progress their confidence in what we're producing, even if it's not necessarily their cup of tea. Even to the point where we're taking on more ambitious projects, even with Chip Thunder being the sponsor. Tell them about the amphitheater, man. That was cool.
Yeah. We cut a deal with a concert venue in our area at the Lake of the Ozarks. It's a big concert venue. They have people like Willie Nelson that play there, Ice Cube. I mean, they have some.
That was a big jump.
That was one concert with both of them. Is that...
No. I'm sure Willie wouldn't mind. I mean,
sure, right?
But yeah, two genres there. But I mean, that's kind of the wide range of musical acts that they get in. Bert Kreischer his comedy tour.
Okay.
They've set attendance records for some of those acts that come in. And we cut a deal with them to be the exclusive advertising sponsor of their refreshment beer area, their food area. They call it the Como Connect Plaza, and Chip Thunder is all over that place.
You can get a photo with a cutout of Chip Thunder and Snuggles playing guitar and drums.
That's true. Yeah.
Of course, they're rock stars.
Yeah.
So why not?
Right.
And I'm sure Wi-Fi and everything, that you guys are able to work with them so they can.
Oh yeah,
we
we have Wi-Fi across the entire venue, and the owner of the venue is a huge Chip Thunder fan.
As he should be.
He wants a personal appearance. Yeah.
So a couple of things I want to get into, and this is really kind of the meat of the episode, the whole reason I wanted to do it. Patrick, you touched on it. I'm really glad that you got into it, because so many folks are gonna see the videos and they're gonna say exactly what you said.
Yeah.
My board won't go for this. How do you? But I think it's more than just, hey, we're gonna do a funny video.
Yeah.
Like, humor is so hard, and we have folks that we work with that are like, hey, it's April Fool's Day. I want to do something funny. I'm like, well, nothing else you've ever done has been funny. Like, how are you going to, like, a one-off, people aren't going to get it.
Yeah.
You kind of have to build that reputation. So how does that go? Talk us through that process, because, one of the things you guys have done, as I understand, there's been a little bit of turnover, but you guys have stayed consistent with, with the tone, the character, all of that. How do you go from pitching that and getting people on board? I guess let's start there.
Sure.
What's that process like to tell people, hey, this is going to sound weird, but just go with me on this journey?
So, like I mentioned, I would rather get told no than to assume that it's going to be a no, because you never know. Maybe they'll surprise you, especially if you have a really great idea. And while I am not advocating doing this, But we went with a bit of a ask forgiveness approach.
I am above. I mean, I think that's a good plan.
So
Good
we
plan.
created our first handful of ads back in 2019, shortly after we started, and they weren't Chip Thunder, but they were in that genre. We kept that humor going. We had a little mouse reading a Christmas story about uploading photos to Cheese Book. We had Pumpkin Spice Internet was one that sticks out. We had one for we made fun of the Bachelorette.
A monster under the bed.
Monster under the bed one was a great one.
Wi-Fi.
Okay.
So we made these ads in house. We write them, we record them, and then we send them out, and then we play them for the board. Kind of got to hear some of those. The funniest one that we say. We had an ad that we wrote. It was for sports. It was around basketball. I am not a sports person, so I wrote this one kind of along that genre of what if some strange person like myself would sit down in a call booth to start calling out the game.
Okay.
So my character sits down and I just start saying Bradshaw has the ball and like going back and forth. So our CEO's name is Aaron Bradshaw. He heard that after it started playing on the radio. That's when we played it for him. So it's definitely an ask forgiveness situation. But our CEO and senior staff have a really great sense of humor, and they're on board with it. And our board also has a really great sense of humor. They also know, and it's important to remind them that this might not be their humor.
Right.
But we're also trying to reach different generations that have different senses of humor. And not everything's going to work for everyone. So making sure that you're diversifying what you do. And we do that. So we do have a lot of jokes. And Gene and I, we usually go with you can touch the heart or tickle the funny bone. And we try and tickle the funny bone quite frequently. But we have a lot of different ads campaigns that do touch the heart. We have a really great one that we're maybe even more proud of than Chip Thunder.
I think so. That's
called Connect to Help. And we've raised well over $100,000 for local charities using that campaign. So we have a lot of fun with Chip Thunder, but we do try and diversify that ad messaging in various ways to make sure that we're reaching as many people as possible.
And if I can say, show the metrics to the board, show the results, because if you are just being whimsical and being fun, and there's no key performance indicators, if you can't show them where it's made a difference in the business, you'll never get buy-in.
Absolutely. When they say, "Hey, this is dumb," you can say, "Well, being dumb works."
Yeah,
show them show them the numbers.
Sales are up 84% over the past 4 years. So I mean, you could say, and Chip Thunder started in 2021. We had the spike. Here's what happened, and you tell the story of the KPIs, and you take them through that story, and then you can see the buy-in. You can start to see the buy-in. The last time I spoke to the board, they were wooing at me when I came in. And so I'm like, oh my goodness, we've won them over.
Yeah, right.
Oh, they've definitely come around. They love the Chip Thunder. So.
I'd like to get into the consistency and the planning of it. So in the CTCU, the Chip Thunder Cinematic Universe.
I love it. I love it.
How are you guys, how far out? It sounds like some of these, it's been kind of on a whim, taking the story in different directions when the Lions Club asks you about, how does it get back?
Yeah.
What kind of guardrails do y'all have in place to kind of keep things consistent, keep that similar tone?
Sure.
Because I mean, doing this many years, it would have been very easy for it to kind of lose the magic, lose the sizzle. What have y'all done, do you think, to keep it so consistently strong and hitting the marks?
Gene and I have a very similar sense of humor and short attention spans.
Okay.
So I think that's what really helps. The jokes are always going to land the same because that's what we think is funny.
Okay.
And the whimsical variety of places that he drops into is because of short attention spans. And we're just like, hey, I had an idea. This let's make him. One of my favorites is a TV court judge.
Right.
And then
I just saw Judge Judy one day. I was like, what if that's how all Chip Thunder videos begin. What if we did this?
Okay.
Yeah. So like you said, he had to watch Judge Judy one day. I was driving in and they were talking about AI on the news. So I was like, what if AI wrote an ad for Chip, but the AI falls in love with Chip? And like, those are just like the things that pop into our head. Then we get into the office and we're like, hey, Gene, I have this idea. What do you think? And like, yep, let's write it up.
And then we play tennis with the idea, and then it comes out. It makes it a lot easier because we are the actors and we are the voice talent.
Oh, is that breaking news? Are we gonna? This goes out on the internet. You know this, right? Everybody's gonna know.
That's fine. Yeah, we are the actors in those spots, and so yeah, it makes it a lot easier for us to maintain the tone. We know the character inside and out. I mean, we created him. We know why he is what he is. From the loud voice, he's a race car driver. He's around loud sounds all the time. You know, to the mustache, to the helmet. We even have a full-on racing suit now. I'm sure you saw that in the last ad. Our graphic designer, Derek Wright, shout out to Derek. He is incredible. And he designed the suit. And K1, a legit racing suit company, made that suit for us. And so it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool to see that happen. And I'll share this information with you right now.
Sure.
We're working with a production company out of Cleveland, Clum Creative. They've worked with Walmart. They've worked with the Cleveland Cavaliers. They worked with the Cleveland Browns, LeBron James. They've worked with quite a few big name folks. And they contacted us to want to work with us.
Oh, wow.
And so we said, oh, hey, we'll give it a shot. And so we went into the studio with them here recently, about a month ago.
Just less than a month. It's
only
been a few weeks
ago. It's been a few weeks. It's been a whirlwind few weeks for Patrick and myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, we filmed with them. They've got us some final cut downs, and you'll be seeing those ads pretty soon.
And back to your question with that, really great point was they have a writer on staff. I mean, obviously, and he's quite talented.
He's quite talented.
But Gene and I have started this character, and we wrote all of the ads for it. He had an idea for an ad, and he wrote it and sent it to us, and it was like it was Chip Thunder-ish, but it wasn't Chip Thunder.
The tone was
like
off.
It wasn't quite.
Okay.
So I think really Gene and myself kind of keeping a close rein on that, especially making sure that it's within the character that we created. It's within what we think is funny, because that's been what's resonating. So with some tweaks, we found a way to really make it an amazing ad with the original concept. But yeah, I think that's kind of coming back to it's making sure that it hits that same tone and quality.
I'm glad y'all brought up the production company. That was where I was headed next, kind of, and we're running a little long on time, as I knew we would with this episode. Let's talk about the technical side of it. So it sounds like now you're working with a production company, but for the first few years starting it, what did you need from a technical standpoint?
Sure.
Are you guys working in a studio?
No, not even a little bit.
No,
not even a little bit.
We had. So we had a green screen that is maybe the width of this table. It's like a 4. Okay. So if you're ever watching Chip Thunder videos and you're wondering why his hands kind of stay here,
just stay right
because
here.
I would be filming it and be like, Gene, got to retake. We got hands in.
I feel like a T-Rex myself sometimes with
the green screen. The green screen we had only did so much, and there was some even that Gene's a tall fellow. And the green screen only goes up so high. So there was a couple of times where I had to rig it to where it would be at least like a foot or two off the ground before I pulled the green screen up.
We have limitations.
We've filmed in just like random empty offices that we could find. We've used a variety of different mics. We have a similar kind of podcast set up in our office, so we've used some of those mics.
Oh, dude, the story about the first time we ever filmed the Chip Thunder commercials. We were in a small office with a green screen and an iPhone. And so we were taking a break. And so Chip Thunder was not out in public. People did not know who he was. This was the first ad we had ever filmed. And so I'm taking a break, and I go out and I walk to go get some water. And I am in the call center. And I pass one of the MCRs in the call center, and she looks at me, and I go, "Hey, how you doing?" And
stranger danger.
She thought that I had just been some guy who got in the security door, and so she goes to one of the other technical service reps who had been a former county sheriff. Oh. And she went and told him and told HR. And they were coming in to take me down in this office.
And he was ready to tackle. And I was ready to film it.
I was mid-line. And here comes Skylar through the door. And he's this giant tattooed human being. And he's running towards me. And then all of a sudden, the recognition comes up. He goes, "It's Patrick, it's Gene. They're in there. Oh, this is weird. It's okay." and I thought I was gonna die. He was gonna crush me.
And I was a little bummed you didn't get tackle, so I could put it on.
Yeah.
You do it for the viewers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Views.
For the brand.
Right. You mentioned the iPhone. You guys are filming.
Yeah,
at least at the
so-
beginning, filming on.
Yeah,
iPhones?
we typically use iPhone with just sitting on a tripod. We've used various mics. Most recently, we for the festival ones, we used a lav mic that probably was a little bit close to Chip. So I
It's
needed
a
to
little
move
hot for Chip.
Move it
down a little
Hot
bit.
mic.
But yeah, we've used a bit of a hodgepodge of various things and equipment that we have on hand, including various lighting and key lights. So we do put some. There are definitely some lights, some green screens. Once we get it all set up, it looks like a little makeshift MacGyver studio.
There you go.
But yeah, the quality of continuing those, they've been very successful in how we do that. We typically will do it through Adobe Premiere to green screen it out and do all the visual effects and everything. That again, we were doing that in house. But with the production company, that's the next level.
Yeah, right.
We have enough video production experience between the two of us to be dangerous, and
Okay.
so we were like, okay, I think it's time to call the pros in on this one.
Yeah, at some point, good enough is you want to go beyond.
Well,
that.
it's mostly our time. I
Yeah.
mean,
Sure.
the bigger our cooperative gets, the less time that we have to do these type of things, and to have somebody to step in and say, hey, look, I can fill that gap for you, and I can give you that expertise, and then elevate the look and feel. That's just a no-brainer to me, because I mean, you want to compete with the Spectrums and Sockets,
Right.
and the big box companies of the world, the Googles. You want to look like them. You want to be like them. You want to be in the same spaces as them. That way, you can see that your potential subscribers can see that you're on a level playing field.
Right. That the service is legit too, not just funny ads. I get
Right,
it for
right.
sure. Well, let me close with this last question, Patrick. I'll start with you, and then Gene.
Okay.
What advice do you have for somebody that's kind of listening to this and thinking, we could have fun, like we could unbutton
Do
the
it.
top button a little bit. What advice do you have for them to get started?
Do it. Be whimsical. Take that step. I mean, and again, the worst anybody can tell you is no. But dang it, make them say no. I feel like everybody stops short of, oh, there's absolutely no way. Make sure. Just double check. Get told no. Don't tell yourself no, just assuming that somebody else is going to do it.
And then Gene, what's the quote? Everybody has a great plan until they get punched in the mouth. What
That's
advice?
right.
Maybe it doesn't take off the first one or two. What advice do you have for somebody as they're trying to feel their way towards a lighter, more whimsical tone in their communications?
Just be persistent. If the first one doesn't take off, try something different. If humor is not your tone, try tugging at the heartstrings. You've got to find your brand. You got to say to senior staff, you've got to say to the board, who are we and what story do we want to tell? In our case, it's like we're charitable. That's what we do through Connect to Help and the $100,000 that we've given to charities over the years. And we tug at the heartstrings a little bit with that. And then we're also fun and we're funny. We want to be that pink mohawk in the Sea of Crew Cuts. We have to be that. And I would say push the envelope until it busts wide open. Keep pushing, and then show key performance indicators to your board and to senior staff.
I would also suggest don't put all your eggs in one basket right at the gate. Just because we have Chip Thunder doesn't mean we're cutting gold records one right after the other.
We are kind of.
We did. Just right there. Don't leave me hanging. Don't leave me hanging.
Oh,
Someone got it.
There you go.
So,
Sorry.
So when we first did these ads, and again, they weren't Chip Thunder, they were just kind of funny ads. We had like 3 or 4 that we had recorded, and we pushed them all out. And Gene has a really great structure. If you ever want to reach out for some marketing information, Gene's your dude. But he had a strategy of how those went out. But we didn't just say we recorded one funny one, let's see how it goes, and if it fails.
Right.
We had 3 or 4.
Smart.
And they're not all going to be amazing. Some might be better or more memorable than others, and you might continue to use those. But don't just try once and fail. Try a few times and see how it goes.
Plug in your passion. Do what you think you would enjoy doing. Because if you don't, it's not going to be good. If you're doing it to get subscribers, it's not going to be good. If you're doing it because you think it's funny, or you think it'll tug at heartstrings, or it makes you cry, then do it, because it will resonate with people who are trying to buy your product. And that's the important thing.
But just like Patrick said with web videos, not all podcasts are amazing, but some of them certainly are.
No.
So appreciate you, Patrick and Gene, both for being on with me this episode.
It was our pleasure.
Yeah, thanks. It was awesome.
Thank you.
He is Patrick Wood. He is Gene McCoy. They're both with Como Connect in Missouri. I'm your host, Andy Johns with Pioneer. And until we talk again, keep telling your story.
Story Connect is produced by Pioneer Utility Resources, a communications cooperative that is built to share your story. Story Connect is engineered by Lucas Smith of Lucky Sound Studio.